doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hey, welcome to the People's Weekly, October 15th. I'm here with Canadian Glenn. What's up, Glenn?
Good day, good day. Not much new. That'd be too interesting. So, that's about it.
Cool. So, let's get the announcements out the way real quick. And I need to smoke more of this Sunday Driver wax, maybe. I'm a little slow. Oh, I gave up the sponsor too early, man.
Well, there you go. We got something to go on now. You might as well get it over with.
Today's show is sponsored by Sunday Driver Wax and not San Fernando Valley OG. It's the other one, Tahoe OG. That's what it is. What about you, Glenn?
Yeah, I'm starting to see a lot of SFV popping up into the market up here. It's interesting. It really wasn't here, It's just something that's down there you hear about. But I don't know, then must be some of the commercial growers are starting to get into the San Fernando strains.
Yeah, if it's done right, it's pretty good.
Well, today's show is brought to you by Citrus Skunk and Death Bubba.
You still rolling with the Death Bubba. Nice.
Yeah, as your stock gets lower, your appreciation goes up. Isn't that always how it works?
Exactly. So today, let me just go through what we're going to go through on the show, then we'll do the rest of the announcements, since I screwed up everything. We're going to go back into, last week we talked about the Trump troop withdrawal of, troops in Syria and what it would mean for the Kurds. Now we have a better idea of what it means for the Kurds, so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about Serena Shim, because we're just 4 days away from the anniversary of her death, and we're 5 days past her birthday. So we got to talk about that. We should always be talking about that. And we're going to talk about back to the police in Texas. They killed a woman in her home right after Amber Guyger was convicted of a really light sentence and hugged and had her hair petted and all that stuff. So now there's another cop that's just got convicted, and we're going to talk about all that. But yeah, back to announcements. What's going on with the view up here, Glenn?
Well, we are 6 days out from the Canadian federal election. Seems to be a new habit. Show this week will be on Friday, not Wednesday. Don't ask. Just go with it. And it will be the 8th appearance all time for Stephen Lawton's. The title for the show on Friday will be Canada's first post-truth election.
First post-truth election. Wow.
We feel so special. We're catching up. We're catching up to the granddaddy of propaganda with a smile. Our friends to the south. We're coming. We're coming.
Yeah, you guys, you're gonna become like United States Junior one day if you keep going the wrong path. You don't want that.
I thought we already were.
No, not yet. You still have some redeeming qualities, so try to keep them.
Who's the U.S. junior right now, then? If it's not us.
Maybe it's the UK.
Ooh. Well, yeah, they've got Johnson, so they're trying. They're really, really trying. Got to give them that. A for effort, UK. Here comes the gutter.
Do you think it was a coincidence, or do you think him and Trump try to look like each other, or he tries to look like Trump, or they just have weird hairdos and look weird coincidentally? Like, is that the new look of fascism? Pretty soon all the world leaders are going to have their hair dyed yellow and be wearing stupid suits and ties.
Yeah, it does seem to kind of go in waves, don't it? You know, for a while all the fascists were bald, and then for a while all the fascists had a stash. Now it's yellow head with nothing in it type thing.
You think Erdogan's going to get one? Duarte, they're all going to... Kim Jong-un, they're all going to have that fucked up Trump do with the imbecile look. That's the dictator look of the future, I think. If you were into fashion, you'd know what I'm talking about.
I'd like to see Kim Jong-un with his hair like that, platinum blonde. That'd be interesting.
That'd be groovy.
And then Rodman could come over, and oh yeah, fuck, they're happening.
Everybody looks like they belong together. So yeah, okay, but back to the important stuff off the tangent. We got into tangent early. The View Up Here is this Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you can find it on Canadian Glenn's Twitter feed or theviewuphere.ca. Theviewuphere.ca. That's it.
Yep.
So yeah. Anything else, Glenn?
No.
We got some new shows, not new shows, but some more shows coming to People's Radio soon with some, I think they're going to be 2 MNOO shows coming up back to back, so we'll have some cool interviews soon.
Right on.
You want to get into the topics now?
Sure.
Oh, Judith Poe is in the chat. Hi, Judith. I'm typing hi right now. Okay. So, yeah. Last week we talked about what a U.S. troop withdrawal from Syria would mean for the Kurds and other marginalized groups in the region. A week later, Turkey is invading and Kurds are being slaughtered. The Trump administration seems to be indifferent on the deaths caused by a situation they put into play. Is there any hope for the Kurdish people? What do you think, Glenn?
Well, the thing is, the Kurdish people are on land that somebody is going to want to have their thumb on. So there's hope, but there's very little. You know, it's one of these things where it's just changing of the guard. I mean, this has been going on for, in some ways, when you look at the Kurds in northern Iraq, this has been going on for a decade now. And Iraq seems to have made their peace with their Kurdish population. Peshmerga is still there, and Peshmerga still is being trained and assisted by Canada's armed forces. That's our part in the ground in Iraq. But the thing I'm wondering, how long before the forces that are professional and battle-tested in Iraq, the Peshmerga, how long before there's going to be some thoughts to them going into Kurdish Syria? This abandonment of the United States, as usual when this happens, ends up, you go -1, and then it ends up +2 or +3. You know, the weight of the U.S. being in a military situation, whether you find it to be good or bad, that's a huge player. You take out that huge player, you're very rarely you can find one player that can replace them effectively. Russia's trying. We're hearing about that. The biggest thing I find interesting is that let me get my acronyms right. The SDF, Syrian Democratic Forces, which are basically the Kurds in Syria, have turned to the SAA, the Syrian Arab Army, which is the government army. So the one thing that happened almost immediately from the Americans getting out of Dodge is that the Assad government gained more territory in 48 hours than they've gained in years, just by vacuum effect, which is fine. It's better than a foreign country like Turkey, but, you know, people are going to be filling the void. It's going to be interesting what happens. And, of course, the bad piece of shit on the block is, surprise, surprise, Erdogan's Turkey. So, you know, this story now about we didn't give them no green light. Pfft. Yeah, okay. Then what is a green light? An actual green physical light at the border flashing? Is that the only green light you admit to? There's no secret this would happen. The U.S. forces have been preventing this for years now. Erdogan is constantly saying that PKK and PYD are terrorist organizations. Well, that's a point of view. It's not a fact. And the U.S. was in fact working with what he calls terrorist forces. So, you know, the sad thing is, I mean, there's enough reports out there already. There is some video as well. Turkish armed forces are just killing every Kurd they can find in some places. Civilians, women, children, it doesn't matter. You're a Kurd, you die. And that's the dogma of the Erdogan government.
There's a second plus for Turkey as well. They released a whole bunch of ISIS militants, or they escaped.
Yeah, isn't that intelligent?
The Turks say the Kurds let them go. I don't think that's the case. I think Turkey freed them or they broke out, one of the two. And most likely, if Turkey didn't free them purposefully, they broke out because of the Turkish attacks. You know
exactly. That's it. So, you know, we come across this prison guarded by Kurds. We kill every Kurd we can find, and then somehow the ISIS guys got out. We don't know what happened. You know? Or, we used our tank to blow a couple holes in the wall, and all these ISIS guys got out. We have no idea what happened.
Y'all need to keep an eye on all those humanitarian trucks going across borders around there.
Well, that's just it. They don't have to bother anymore now.
Yeah, you're right. Wow, I didn't think. You know, that's crazy.
I mean, you know,
the whole region changed overnight, literally.
Yes, because of some orange doofus thousands of miles away.
But in Trump's defense, the Kurds did not fight. They didn't storm Normandy during World War II. And they are fighting for their own land. I mean, that's not very noble of them, is it?
It's, you know, I kind of forgot about that. Just out of, it's so ugly, you forget it.
I couldn't forget something that stupid.
Holy fuck. I don't know what to say about that. They weren't at Normandy.
That's what Trump said. You know that.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that.
I know. That whole speech and the looks on the faces of the people standing behind him. This is like some kind of Kubrick movie, man. Like, this is just beyond reason. Like, what in the fuck are you talking about, man?
What's it called? Broken Clock Orange?
Well, the thing is, though, too, that I've seen some mention is, Trump has something like close to 1,000 business dealings going on in Turkey. So there's always that.
Well, obviously, his beautiful, the biggest hotel. They haven't seen anything like it, blah, blah, blah.
Unbelievable.
It's all about him, his business interest, and
and this is
whatever is going to hopefully keep his ass in office.
This is the bigger picture too. I mean, you got other countries all around the world, like in EU, and countries like Russia and China and Australia, and they're looking at this withdrawal that is, obviously going to cause a lot of bloodshed in a place where it wasn't happening under current circumstance. And this is what the leader says? Like, holy Christ. I hope American people understand how terrible that man in the White House is making your reputation around the world.
And we had a horrible reputation around the world for a long, 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 long time. But this just like made it like 100-fold or something, huh? Yeah,
that's what I mean. I'm talking on the surface level, on the general 30-second clip level. For the most, like the world thinks W was an idiot. And the world is mostly unaware of what Obama really did in his 2 terms. But whenever they saw Obama on TV, he always had class, He looked like a leader. He behaved like a leader. He commanded respect in that mass murderer club called Leaders of the Free Nations. But this guy, my God, unbelievable.
Obama's like in the middle of a 2-clown Oreo. Like, for real. Think about that.
Well, that's the thing.
Like, that makes him look that much smarter, And that, I mean, he was very smart. I'm not saying he wasn't. He deceived everybody, and still to this day is deceiving a lot of people. But the thing is, yeah, he was preceded by a fucking idiot, and he was followed by even more of a fucking idiot.
Yeah, we get into the whole topic now of the new low point. So, all of a sudden W is just a little better somehow. That's sad.
Let me ask you this. How does Canadian news do they show these Trump rallies? Do they show it like in a Hitler? I mean, you can't really show it any other way, but like, do they just show it and is everybody just like horrified? Like, oh my God, what are these people doing?
Well,
or do some Canadians, I mean, I see online some Canadians are with it, but most of them aren't.
Oh yeah, there's
like they have Canadians for Trump or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, but there are still people that deny the Holocaust. So, whatever. There are people who say the earth is flat. So, that's
for the most part, like, what does it look like when it's on the news there or whatever? Like when it was rallies, like, how do they portray it?
Well, there's almost always warning. Like, for a couple hours before, if they're going to show any part of a Trump rally, for at least 2 hours before that, every break they will warn people. They won't say it like a warning, but they make sure they mention it, and then they look at the camera, You know, it's like, we're going to put them on, so keep that in mind. And then any video we get is just, like, they don't send their own cameras. We're just picking it up from whoever. And, I mean, sometimes it has the logo of the American source on it. Sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, they'll say, okay, now we're going to go live to, you know, wherever, bumfuck Oklahoma for President Trump's rally. And that's it. Blank face, look at the camera, and then it cuts to the rally. And they'll show it. Sometimes
do they say it like, you better thank sweet white Jesus you have Trudeau and not some guy like this?
No. You know, it's just like, sometimes, depending who it is, it's almost like the person at the desk is going, we're going to show this now. I have to announce it. That's it. That's as much interest and emotion as you get. Sometimes they'll show it for 2 minutes. Sometimes they'll show it for 10 minutes. But then when it stops, like, there's nobody, usually nobody comes on and says, okay, we're going to cut away, you know, like most professional channels would do. When it's Trump, it'll just all of a sudden ends. And then you see the same blank person sitting at the desk, and they'll just go, they may say where it was, what he was supposedly talking about, and then they'll go right to the next item. It's almost like, we have to show this. We can't tell you why. Here it is. And then when it's done, okay, that's over. Back to the news.
Wow. I thought it'd be harsher. I thought they'd use it or something. But I guess, yeah, it is what it is.
Well, that's dangerous because there have been so many Canadian conservative politicians that have made a habit of showing up on Fox to talk shit about Canada that nobody wants to reciprocate up here because we just can't compete. So just ignore it. Don't entertain it. Don't play that game. Don't show Trump and everybody on set laughs. Because we're not in the States. And that would be dangerous if any of our news services started doing that.
Yeah. I guess. Anything else on the Kurdish genocide that's going on?
Well, there's definitely good propaganda at play. I would expect the white helmets to pop up in bullshit news soon if Erdogan's abandoned principles keep getting covered. But I have seen already the reports about Russia bombing hospitals. Well, there's one little detail. For one specific supposedly Russian bombed hospital, the detail left out by the Western news is that it was evacuated 3 days earlier. So it was an empty hospital. But, you know, we left out that detail when reporting it in the West. Because what's the first thing everybody thinks, right? Bunch of people that can't defend themselves. No, they're already gone. But we forgot that detail. So, I mean, I think there's only one story. And the only story, if you want to know reality, is this is just the latest and biggest foreign policy failure from this joke of a White House. That's the story.
Hey, you guys know in Canada that we're renting troops out now, right? Did you hear about that?
Oh, I thought you guys only were the buyers, not the sellers on that score.
No, like if you want to rent a bunch of troops to go do your biddings like Saudi Arabia did, you could just rent them from us and they'll go do whatever you want. So that's pretty cool. And other stuff, so like weapons and whatever you want, man. I think that's pretty cool.
Well, I guess why let Pakistan have the whole market on that? So, yeah. Okay,
Well,
I
I'm
can
just
see it that
wondering
way.
what's going to happen when these troops come back from working for Saudi Arabia. Are only Saudi people allowed to thank them for their freedom, or what? How does that work? Who thanks them for their freedom?
Everyone.
Oh, okay. I mean, because these people are like, we're going to fight for your freedom, America. Fuck yeah. Yeah, we're going to... Our government's getting paid, so we're going to work for Saudi interest and kill people for that. It just doesn't seem... It seems even... Like, I don't know. Wouldn't people, like, drop out of the military or... recruitment? Like, it's hard to recruit for that because, like, these people, they think they're doing something for the citizens of the United States, even though they're not. Now the president himself made it quite obvious that no, you're not. People are going to pay us money and we're going to send you over there to kill for them.
Well, the way he looks at it is, you joined the armed services, we're your employer, you're going to do what the fuck we tell you you're going to do. That's the way he looks at it.
Oh, so they are fighting for our freedoms. Cool.
Yeah, sure.
So you want to move on or anything else?
Well, that's another part of it, though, too. Most of the American public have no idea that the Canadian government signed off on I think in total, a $5 billion deal with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and General Dynamics Land Services in Canada, selling light armored vehicles to Saudi Arabia. So the Canadian government signed off on that. One of the battles about a month ago in Yemen, where the Houthis had a good victory, there were pictures circulating on Canadian social media of 5 or 6 of these LAVs on their roofs and with holes in them and shit like that. So everybody got a good laugh out of that up here. And Pakistan has had elements of their army in Saudi Arabia for years now. And they're getting paid to be there. And their job, a lot of the time, is quelling protests and social unrest inside Saudi Arabia. So it's not Saudi forces cracking your skull. It's Pakistani forces hired by the Saudi royal family. So this really isn't anything new. It's just new to the American public.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's really crazy.
Well, from
like
an authority,
from your own people don't even care. You know what I mean? So imagine some other people from around the world. Now you're just the enemy, basically.
Well, the thing is, though, they didn't want to send their own troops to inflict violence on their own people, because then there's the opportunity to create a refusal to serve, an uprising, a mutiny type thing. That's what they're avoiding by paying Pakistan for their troops.
I see.
On a fascist authoritarian scale, it makes good sense to do what they're doing.
It's good PR.
Well, no, it's just smart. It's good risk management. And that's the other thing too. If a platoon fucking snaps or something and kills a whole village of Saudis, well, they're not Saudi soldiers, we can get them out of here,
Yeah.
High-end risk management.
It's insane, man. This whole incorporated world.
Next.
I'm trying to find the list.
Oh.
Okay. Got it. Remembering journalist Serena Shim. On October 19th, 2014, Serena Shim was murdered by Erdogans Turkish forces to silence her from speaking out about Turkey. I'm sorry. This This is like a tongue twister, man. Let me do it one more time. On October 19th, 2014, Serena Shim was murdered by Erdogans Turkish forces to silence her from speaking out about Turkey's support of ISIS. If Serena Shim was alive today, she would have been on the front line telling the world the truth about the Turkish invasion of Syria. She would have been on the front line of a lot of things going on. But nobody listened to her. Back then, it took 2 or 3 years after she was murdered before everyone started acknowledging that all the stuff she was saying was true about the World Food Organization trucks and militants crossing the borders in those trucks with the help and aid of Turkey. So yeah.
Well, like I said, what Trump has allowed to happen has basically guaranteed that the covert activity that Serena found, they no longer have to take that risk because, in effect, the border past Kobane now is not there. You know, there's only one side there, the Turks. So, you know, there's no need for World Food Program trucks to carry weapons to ISIS. They can just bring them with them, you know?
Yeah.
So things have changed, but I mean, even the last couple days, especially right now, what time of year it is, seeing the reporters in Kobane and in other towns close to the border, either in Turkey or in Syria. Yeah, it's the first thing I think when I see those town names is Serena. And, you know, I see that her former employer, Press TV, is, what's the word to use, is making note of the 5th anniversary coming. There are other people who have been involved in this since the start, which is good. Like we said, you know, justice for Serena Shim, or Sassy, people aren't going to forget. But it's, you know, I don't know what to call it, whether irony or something worse, that, you know, right now, 5 years, look what's happening. And, you know, the sad part is, this is what Erdogan wanted 5 years ago. He wanted it more than 5 years ago. Yeah. Erdogan has bloodlust for Kurds, period. He thinks, you know, they're selling them the same way. They're all terrorists, blah, blah, blah.
I'm sure the people in the White House believe the same way. Well,
I don't really think that's their priority, though. They don't really care. They don't think like that. They're more interested in where the bigger revenue is. What are the better opportunities?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
Poor, dark people that don't have money are terrorists. That's generally how this country looks at it, even within itself.
And they don't speak English.
I mean, you have people now talking about ISIS is going to start attacking the United States. Oh my God, ISIS. We have fucking MAGAs attacking us almost on a daily basis. Why don't you worry about that before you're worried about something that's not even happening, you know? When ISIS attacks, then worry about it. Right now, worry about these little Nazi fucks trying to kill everybody. And what they're about to do, and this is the closer the election comes, you know? These people are psychos, they're terrorists. Deal with them first.
Well, it's going to be interesting if all these ISIS forces that were either in prison or in camps or whatever, if they're allowed to all roam around again, that's one thing. But who's going to support them now? The Russians are on one side of him. Assad is on the other side of him. So, I really can't see them going either one of those directions. So if they go south or east, they're going to find the Peshmerga in Iraq. And if they go north and west, they're going to find the PKK and the PYG. So guess who's going to pay? The Syrian Kurds. Again. So they'll be getting hit by ISIS and Turkey. So, this
Turkey's
is
a bigger fight, and who knows who's going to arm ISIS if someone does.
Well, Erdogan was doing it 5 years ago. Why wouldn't he be doing it now?
That's true.
This is, there are people that are, all these world affairs quimbies, the people that are already saying that what Trump has done is guarantee a genocide. That's a pretty big statement to make this early, but really, if you look at history, and if you look at what ISIS will always attack the weakest targets because they're weak, and if you look at what Erdogan is all about, it's kind of hard to disagree with that rapid assessment.
Yeah. I think that's what everybody's worried about. What do you think? Like, Serena was out there reporting in the trenches, you know what I mean? Embedded with different groups. She knew what was going on all sides of everything. Like, what do you think the state of journalism is right now? Like, does everybody have a side they're going to bow down to and give their, whoever's paying them? Or do you think there's a lot of real people still out there mixed in that can get us real information? Beside the social media that everyone has now.
Well, there are people that are still doing excellent work, but it's not quick. It takes time. It takes investment. Press TV is still there. They're not going anywhere. There are a couple other, I can't call them anything bigger than regional network type setups there.
Yeah.
The independence of them, I don't know. I can't speak to that, but there are a lot of independents in that part of the world that have been there for a fair amount of time. I'm talking about people like Vanessa Beeley and Eva Bartlett.
So you think? Do you think people will be able to witness what's going on, or do you think the Turks and whoever they're working with at the time will be able to eliminate all media from the area and basically do this genocide unaccounted for? Like I don't know. I think in today's world you're gonna be able to see stuff. Someone's gonna get information out. But it's just like in the past, things happen, and people could deny things if they don't see it, I guess, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I agree.
Like we can say, we're Turkey's partners. That's not really a genocide. It's just like a mini war, and spin it however different people want for their audiences. Like, you can't do that if people are giving you real-time footage from it. That's what I'm trying to say. I think I'm saying it wrong. I need to hit more wax, maybe.
Well, I agree that things will get out because that's just impossible to stop anymore. You just can't. Again, it's risk management. But that's not the issue. I think the issue is, will it be picked up? Will it be censored? Will it be blacklisted? Will it be erased from the web? These are the issues that I think are more important than if there is anybody there to record it. you know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, too. The people who are recording it are risking their lives to do so. And when other powers that be decide that the world doesn't have to know, that just makes it all the worse. You know, I think, yeah, there will be, you know, there are some independent and smaller organizations that are determined that they're going to provide the real coverage for this, whatever it is, invasion. But the issue is, where are people going to be able to see it?
Yeah, I just, because it wasn't that long ago, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, someone was talking about, I don't remember what they were saying, something about Israeli and Palestinian thing, right? And then the other guy looks at me and goes, "Oh man, they've been fighting for thousands upon thousands of years. It's not going to stop anytime soon." And I'm thinking, what the fuck is this guy thinking about thousands of years? Israel wasn't even there thousands of years. You know what I mean? It was put there after World War II.
Well, that's the typical response you'll get from a Christian Zionist. You know, that's one of their non sequiturs. Like, it's a fact of life. It's part of nature. With, you know, zero evidence. So.
Oh, because I mean, it just seems like, you know, we have another genocide that's going to happen in some ways, hopefully much smaller way than in a bigger way. But yeah, I don't want it to get drowned out. I don't want people to say it's not what it is. I don't want people to start denying it easily, you know?
That's it right there. People saying it's not what it is. Welcome to 21st century public relations.
Turkey cannot keep getting away with genocide after genocide, and nobody calls them genocides. Nobody acknowledges them. I mean, Holocaust deniers are like, oh my God, what terrible people. But when Turkey does a genocide, it's like, oh, who cares? They're our friends. That wasn't real. It's just bullshit.
There are other issues as well between the U.S. and Turkey. I mean, the list is just growing and growing all the time. I think there's a lot more issues than most of the American public knows. So, I mean, this might have been a way to try and cancel the debt, but what an absolute inhumane way to pay up your debt. I mean, there's just so many things in that part of the world that Turkey and the U.S. are tied at the hip. And then they turn around, and Erdogan's been bitching for a couple years now that he wants Gulen back to Turkey for a kangaroo court and an execution. And there's an issue about money in Turkey and in the U.S. Who can get their hands on it? You know, it's kind of similar to the Iran money around the world in Western banks that's been frozen. That type of shit is going on. There's the question of Incirlik Air Base in eastern Turkey, where the U.S. could have never done anything in the air in Syria without that base. You can't run a campaign off your carriers. It's too much of a risk. And then there's, you know, the missiles that are at Incirlik that belong to the Americans. There are a lot of people that say there are tactical nuclear weapons at Incirlik that have an owned by U.S. stamp on them. So, you know, there's just so much shit going on between the U.S. and Turkey, and it's not talked about. It's not on the news. It's not in the newspaper. So, you know, I mean, and when you got a guy in the White House who has absolutely no idea what limits are, and his worldview goes as far as the next mirror, you know, I guess anything's possible to pay off a debt.
Yeah. Man, journalists just need to be fearless and brave and, be out there. They need the spirit of Serena Shim in them or something, It's like too much stuff going on. I mean, journalists covering everything, not just this particular thing, but they need to be on it, man, because the people need information. Stuff is getting crazy all around the world, and somebody got to be there being like, you guys are all the same. You're all being oppressed the same way. Figure it out, unite, get over your bullshit, and fight this shit. Worldwide shit, not just this country or that country or whatever. Like, that's how you got to do it. And journalists are key elements of that, because they're the one that gets information about things going on. They're the ones that are supposed to tell the people the truth, not just what the oppressors want them to hear. That's propaganda. We need real journalists getting their message out some kind of way to the people.
Well, I mean, right there, that completely demonstrates why Serena was working for Press TV. She had turned down American network offers because she knew what the limitations were. And she knew how likely it was that she would run into editorial control. And that wasn't what she was about. She was about being a journalist and telling the truth and going to find the truth and bringing it back. Not about being embedded in your armored van with your crew of 6, where everybody who lives there know you're coming 15 minutes before you get there. That type of shit. She didn't want to play that. She didn't want to play that manufactured infotainment news world garbage. She wanted the truth. She was a journalist. And that's why she was working for Press TV. This is the other thing that I find just so stands out so much. Serena Shim, an American citizen, working for the Iranian national broadcaster. Why? How? Nobody wants to talk about that because it reveals behind the curtain. And that's the sad truth about this. 5 years ago, she was telling the world that Turkey was doing this already to kill Kurds. Now look.
And even after she died, there were people, thousands of people screaming that shit from the rooftops. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to listen to them.
Yep.
Everyone wants to deny everything.
Well,
everybody has an ulterior motive, man. Do you know that the only reason some people jumped on support is because their political opponent was in office at the time or whatever? You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy, man. People don't care about shit. They're all so selfish. They have their own little bullshit agendas, man. That's the thing. We need journalists that aren't like that.
Yeah.
Unless your agenda is to get to the truth and get that truth out to as many people as fucking possible, then fuck you, really. That's how it has to be.
But this is the issue, though. The number one priority in information media is not information, it's revenue. That's the problem. And, you talk about the American networks like CNN, MSNBC. Look who their core advertisers are. The companies who give them, millions of dollars a month to run their ads. These are countries Freudian slip. These are corporations that do their business with the Department of Defense, State Department, DHS. We're not paying you to squeeze our market share. So, in a real news operation, it's, well, if you don't like it, then go fucking advertise somewhere else. But that's not how anything works anymore.
No.
You know?
I mean, Fox fired that guy basically, or made him resign just because he went against Trump. Because once in a while he'd tell the truth. What was Shep Smith or whatever?
Yep.
The only halfway decent motherfucker. But that's what I'm saying. Look, Fox News is a perfect example. They're always going to back their team, the Republicans. And then you have, MSNBC, they're always going to back their team, the Democrats, and a lot of other ones like that too, like Young Turks. They're always going to back the Democrats, you know?
But see, that's why, though, because it's all about money.
Exactly. But I'm saying you can't, that's not, like, they might have real journalists in there, but they don't let them probably tell the truth. In fact, you know what? Journalists have quit both of those before for not being allowed to tell the truth and been fired for trying to tell the truth.
Well, that goes all the way back to Amber Lyon.
That's what I was thinking of too. That's crazy. I remember that.
Yeah.
But it's fucking ridiculous, man. We need warriors out there as journalists. We need warriors out there as activists. We need warriors out there, period, man.
Well,
especially in this, we're losing a battle. You guys have it all cozy right now in Canada. It's like crazy over here, man. And it's been crazy. It's nothing new because of Trump. It's just another level of crazy now because of Trump.
Well, I mean, go back to 1991. Bernard Shaw, Peter Arnett. These guys were working for CNN. They were in Baghdad. They were crouched down in their rooms with a cell phone, reporting live while Baghdad was being attacked. The networks could do that then. This is 2019. But yet they seem to have nobody in the middle of the action. They have nobody ahead of the violence. How is, logistically, that's a complete joke.
Because you want to know my theory on it? Because they don't want people to see the real violence.
That's
They'll turn
right.
them off of war. They might not support it if they're seeing like families blown away and snatched up out their houses and people tortured. You know what I mean?
But I think that's true to an extent. But the way you describe it is because that would make their product too offensive to their audience. Well, that's a valid concern. But I say the reason it's happening is because that's too offensive to their advertisers, not their audience.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you never want to make war look bad.
Well, no, it's not good for business.
If you're fighting in it, you want to make it look like you guys are heroes.
Yeah, it's not good for business. I mean, at the end, that's what finally forced Nixon to get out of Vietnam. Is just too ugly at home. He didn't give a shit what it looked like over there. It became intolerable at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think these atrocities could go on the way they do if media did their job.
Oh, yeah.
That's what such a huge part of this picture they are. And I mean, it's just like the episode I did last week. The global disinformation machine, the global disruption machine has come to Canada. And they're having a hard time selling the same old program because we're just not buying it. And they're using the press. And they're using political collusion. And they're using social media in Canada like they never have before. We're just like everybody else with this election. But it's not working the same way. And they can't figure it out. Like, why aren't these people just doing the same thing they did in Britain over Brexit and what they've done in the U.S. and what we got them to do in Brazil and everywhere else? Why isn't it working here? So far they haven't been able to figure it out. But it's such a big part of everything. because no matter if there is 500 channels and 10,000 websites that are carrying news, people don't go out of their way if they don't feel like it. That's why network will always be network. You click the button, it comes on. You're not paying a fortune for it. And it's what you've always done. Everybody grew up watching network at home for the last 4 generations, maybe 5. So, I mean, they're still out front. It's just that it doesn't seem to matter that they're there to make money, not to tell you something.
Yeah.
And if that system wasn't there, there's no way all this other shit could go on and just continue to get worse.
Yeah, we definitely need journalists that are more like Serena was.
Well, the other side of that,
they need to be allowed to have an outlet. They need to have a place that doesn't. I know it's unrealistic in this precise moment in time, but there's got to be a place for real journalists to be able to get their stuff out if their stuff is against
the narrative.
Things leak out, but the people. Think about it like this: how many people still don't even know anything about Serena Shim or what she exposed or what happened or anything? Probably a majority of people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's done intentionally. That's done by design. We talked about this a million times. We don't need to go back into it. But I'm just saying, it's done by design. They don't want too many people to think about everything. And you have all this small group of people still worry about that. But it's just the past. Car accidents happen, blah, blah, blah. That's the thing. That's why I don't make comments about it. That's why they don't bring it up. Because they don't want people looking into it. Michael Hastings is the same thing. Another journalist that was investigating, doing a lot of good stuff, about to bring down some major government officials, and another mysterious car accident, quote unquote, wink wink car accident, right?
Yeah, investigated by the LAPD to boot.
Yeah.
But that's a very important point. Like you said, not only do we need journalists on the ground like Serena, but we need outlets that will allow them to air whatever they find. And that's the issue, because journalists like Serena are few and far between. But there are a lot that want to do the right thing. But the problem is newsrooms or editor bureaus don't have people with news experience anymore. It's full of people with MBAs and accountant degrees. They're the ones who decide based on not truth and importance, but on profitability. That's what's wrong. Can you imagine being a journalist who went to school for years and stuff and got all this field experience? You have to turn in your copy to some Quimby under 30 out of college.
Quimby.
Who's never reported anything live, or written copy. He's got his job because he has a management degree and he knows accounting. That's why he's your boss. That's what the situation is in a lot of places now. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's like being a tradesman, being a plumber or an electrician, and your boss is a real estate salesman. That makes a lot of sense, eh? That sounds pretty safe. You're interested in the right things for sure there.
Yeah. I got nothing else to say about this. It's everything we talk about is always depressing, so
well,
ideally, yeah. We'd want journalists to be out there getting us the truth relentlessly, and the masses be able to get it. But that's not the case. So I guess the people got to fight to make that the case, and journalists need to get on the ball.
But the good part is, if you really, really want to find out the truth about just about anything, you can. It's just that it will likely be extremely hard to find.
Could be dangerous too.
Yes.
So yeah, you wanna move on, or you got anything else on that?
No, we can move on.
Okay. Last week, Dallas killer cop Amber Guyger was convicted of murder. Oh, hang on. Let me start again. Man, I cannot read. You know what it is? My phone is just too small. All right. Last week, Dallas killer cop Amber Guyger was convicted of murder and given the lightest sentence possible under the law, and a bunch of hugs, for the murder of Botham Jean in his own home. We discussed the case on last week's show. This week, Aaron Dean, another Dallas Fort Worth cop, murdered a black woman named Atatiana, I can't even say the name, Jefferson, in her own home. The murderous pig shot her through the window of her own home, giving her less than 2 seconds to respond to his order to show. Man, I'm reading this really bad, Glenn. All right, one more time. The murderous pig shot her through the window of her own home, giving her less than 2 seconds to respond to his order to show him her hands before killing her. This is nothing new. Police have been slaughtering citizens since their inception. Is it time to finally fight back? How do we make this constant brutality by police stop once and for all? Any ideas, Glenn? I need to get my phone closer. I got a big mic in my face, so I have to hold my phone like a mile away. Are you there, Glenn? Uh-oh. We might have lost Canadian Glenn.
Hello?
Oh, there you are.
Wow.
What happened? You dropped out?
That's my fault. As if Amber Guyger wasn't bad enough. Now we have Atatiana Jefferson getting shot, standing in her own residence, unarmed, not doing anything, because another poorly trained, needing psychological assessment idiot with lethal force took her life. That's the reality of it. Plain and simple. This is someone who should have obviously never been in this situation. But yet somehow they're given that gun, and they're given that badge, and they're given that power. Yep. The thing I would really like to start seeing happen, but likely never will, is let's look at this cop's whole service record. What class were they trained in? What courses did they take? Who were their instructors? Who assessed him? Who approved him? These are the people that need to go. Because if they are rubber stamping shitheads like this, that's an issue. You know, I mean, this has been talked about a little bit every once in a while, then it goes away. You know, it's mostly talked about when you're looking at big metro police departments like LAPD, like Philadelphia, like New Orleans. You know, what kind of goons are they looking for to put on the police? And that, I think that needs to be a constant discussion, but the media will not play it because it's so much easier that when we get caught being fascists in our own backyard, we pick out the one sent to do the deed. It's all on them. I don't think you're going to find a psychologist who will say that's fair. Yes, they pulled the trigger. Goddamn rights they should pay. But who put him there? How come we never talk about that? I think that's an issue. I mean, it's no different than something else. Say you run or one taxi company, their cabs are getting in accidents all the time. Well, yeah, the drivers did it. They fucked up. But don't you think there might be an issue with how they end up working for that company?
Yeah.
You know? This is the thing that I don't understand. Is just non-existent in the discussion in the United States. How do they get away with this shit?
I don't know, man. This guy, he's going to get away with it too. I hope not, but I'm pretty sure. Dude, you see, he shot her, he screamed, "Show me your hands," and shoots her.
Yeah.
Like doesn't even finish with the word hands almost, you know? Just show me your blow. Like, how does she even know who it is to respond, to put her hands up? It takes a second to register someone outside your house, you know what I mean?
Yep. Well, that's just it. These people are not mentally equipped for this situation. You know, at least, you know, I mean, it's just a different classification of legalized murderer. But if you get Marines in urban combat, if they see someone standing in a neutral position and they don't see a rifle barrel or, you know, any sort of tactical clothing or a helmet, unless they're there to kill everybody, if they're just doing a sweep, they are going to allow 2 seconds, 4 seconds, whatever they determine before they make that decision. You know, because they're trained. They're trained. They're assessed. They're made sure that they're going to do what they're supposed to do under extreme pressure. This never happens with Metro cops. They're never tested far enough to have the power that they do. That's the thing I'm trying to say. There are elements of the military that have extreme potential and ability to kill, but they're trained to do it. This sounds really stupid, but I can't think of any other way to describe it. They're trained to do it correctly. Cops aren't. No, you know, it sounds stupid, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, there has to be. Wait until you see a weapon before you shoot.
Exactly.
You have to see a threat, a legitimate threat. Yeah. Not a guy from 20 feet away that's drunk off his ass holding a knife, you know?
Exactly. So how are so many of these idiots getting a gun and a badge?
Because they don't care. They get away with it. What does it matter? They hire the stupidest people on the planet, give them a gun and a badge, and forgive them of anything they do as many times as they do it, pretty much. Unless it gathers too much news media, then they'll work, you know, maybe do something.
Well, then this is what needs to happen. There has to be some deep research, either by, you know, SPLC or, you know, the Lawyers Guild, somebody. Start looking at the academies for police. Start looking at civil suits against commandants of training academies for police, because they're the ones turning out these idiots.
That's true. Some of them are most of them might be privatized. Like the different training things they send them to and the speakers that come for training and stuff.
I mean, there's got to be a way. Because I think it's obvious now that there is a production line of murderous police.
And there's a whole bunch of apologists for them too. Starting with the FOP and ending with these use of force advocates.
And again, what's it all motivated by? Money.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you know, I don't understand why there can't be an angle to go after the system that's turning these fuckers out.
Yeah, did you hear, just real quick, off topic, real quick, a tangent. Well, it's kind of on topic. Did you hear the new news that the police, the new story about Joshua Brown?
No.
Like last week we had discussed that they said he was, they had a tip and he was probably murdered because of this weed and the money or whatever was in his house, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they have these dudes that drove hours and hours across state lines to buy weed from him, or to rob him for weed, and then got there and just killed him and didn't take anything. and if you look down the police Twitter timeline, I think it's the Dallas PD. Look down their timeline, they be like, and such grabbed a gun out of this guy's backpack and did this to this and this. Like, they know every detail, who had what, who had this, who had that. It's way too much information, man. Like, it seems really suspicious. I can't even talk, man. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I think I'm tired.
And so they know the exact timeline of these guys who did this. Are any of them under arrest?
Yeah, I think they supposedly caught him. And they told every single detail. I mean, like, to the point, like, you know what I mean? It was just ridiculous stuff, like, and this person did this, and he said this, and, like, every little specific detail. Seemed like a Hollywood screenplay or something.
Yeah, still doesn't make sense to me. No way.
Like, when you come to rob people for weed, why wouldn't you take the weed and the money and the cartridges? If you're going to kill them anyway, you might as well take the stuff, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's almost like, okay, this is our task. You have 90 minutes. And then they get there and whatever, and then they kill them and beep, beep, beep. Well, your 90 minutes are up. Fuck! They turn around and leave everything there. Like, is that the deal? Like, give me a break.
I mean, so let's look at it like this real quick. We're going to go rob this guy. We're going to take all his weed. We're going to take his money, whatever he got. We're going to take it. We're going to hit the freeway back 4 or 5 hours back to where we live, right?
Yeah.
So, Georgia or someplace, Louisiana, I don't know where they live, but anyway, it's irrelevant. So they all get up in the car, go meet up with this cat. Something goes wacky. They kill him. You drove all that way. Murder a fool. Just so happens to be the guy who just put a cop in prison. Shoot him in the mouth. And then you don't take anything. Nothing was even missing from his pockets, dude.
Have the cops had a press conference where all this supposed weed and stuff, have they shown it?
Probably, but I haven't seen it if they have.
I haven't seen it either. That's why I'm asking. I mean, wouldn't that be in the news? Wouldn't that just be the media saying, see, here, we told you? I don't remember seeing that. Really? Because how convenient.
Because it's not that much, dude.
No, but...
And you know what I'm wondering is, I've known this to happen in these crooked states, too, before. When people are growing weed, the cops will say they'll come and do a little raid, and you have big pots with soil of some kind in it, or it might be hydro, but it's got something in the pots that are heavy, and they'll weigh the pots and add it to the so I'm wondering if he has like 1 or 2 plants. But we found 12 pounds of weed because they weighed the whole thing with the soil, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. I don't know.
Well, I mean, this just doesn't make sense, though, because, first the cops say, oh, yeah, all this shit was there. Cash, dope, weapons. And then apparently, well, these guys went to do a hit to rob them, but they seem to forget to take anything, and they don't have anything. But it was there, too. Just ask them. Like, this is bullshit. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't get it. How the hell are they going to take these guys to court? And if they do, it sounds like it's going to be a dog and pony show. Because if you're a defense attorney, there better be a whole lot more shit coming forward.
Yeah.
Unless they got him for some kind of confession shit. So, I don't know.
Part of me thought maybe these are some little cats that got arrested for something, you know, or being investigated, and then somebody might have came to him and said, look, we'll drop the case here or something, but we need you to pop this fool over here, make sure he gets killed, you know what I mean? Shoot him in the mouth. Or maybe they got paid to come out there and kill the dude. Because then they're the fall guys, you know what I mean? Who are you going to believe? 3 little gangbangers or the police?
Yeah, that's definitely an issue. No doubt. But I mean, that's another thing too, this shooting in the mouth. Like, come on. That ain't no accident.
It's a whole lot of coincidences for it to be a coincidence. You know what I mean? A whole lot of things just line up really odd. Timing, the way he was killed, every little detail about it, man. It's just too much. It's too much. It don't work like that. It's not. Come on, man.
Yeah, I agree. It just shit don't happen like that. Oh man. Okay. Well, that was our tangent.
I mean, it's semi-related. He was killed by the same police we're talking about, but it wasn't.
True.
It wasn't on the topics list, you know.
Well, I mean, you know, Dallas has had a lot of shit happen there in the last, 10, 15 years. Because wasn't it Dallas where that dude was downtown with the automatic weapon and just hunting cops and shit? You know, I mean, there's been a lot of shit going on there. So, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. But again, like I said, who is training these people that can't handle what they're doing?
Man, there's so many ways to stop this short of just abolishing police, you know, which is my solution to it. But I'm saying if it's unrealistic right now, then there's a million other solutions. People just don't do them. We've talked about them all on this show before. You know, when lawsuits come, take it out of police pension funds instead of from the people.
Yeah.
Why are our tax dollars going to pay for these murderers? We shouldn't pay for their defense either. Make them pay for their own defense or get a public defender. Why should they have special treatment because they're pigs? It doesn't even make sense, man. People need to be on them with cameras all the time. Let them know how much you hate them. Don't hug them and thank you for any service. They don't serve us. They kill us. They brutalize us. They lock us in cages. They torture and punish the weakest among us that don't have anything. They're scum. They're Nazis. They kill children, you know, and they get off. If some gangbangers get a stray bullet and kill some kid, they're going to prison forever. The police do it. It's like, oh, well, you know.
And the thing there is, too, some young banger gets taken in, murder 2. What's he like when he comes out? What if he goes to Stockton for like 15 years? What do you get when he comes out, you know?
It's a whole nother world for, it's nothing's going to be the same.
No. So you're just making people that will be beyond redemption when you're done, quote unquote, making them pay their price to society. You know? And yet you got this other crowd who can do it no problem.
Some of them can do it multiple times and keep their jobs.
Yep. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I hope they put this guy, I hope they give this dude the death penalty. They have it in Texas, but they won't, you know. He'll probably get justified some kind of way. Oh, he quit the police force, so who knows. The last dude that did that was, that I can remember was the guy that killed Oscar Grant. What was his name? He had some weird-ass name. I can't remember it. Yeah, well, anyway, that dude, he quit the police force and kind of fled for a while, right?
Yep.
And he still did, 2 years or something?
Yeah.
And got out and got jobs doing stuff. Like, come on now.
Yeah, that's...
Like, I mean, that's the worst that's going to happen to some of them. They're going to do a couple years. They're going to obviously be separated because, you know, they're pigs. They're going to be protected. It's going to suck. Then they're going to get out.
Well, I mean, I just find that whole thing like, what the fuck's going on here when the guy does that and then he's allowed to just quit and bounce? Like, are you serious? You can't do that up here. If a cop's involved in a fatal shooting here, it's not like, you know, they're going to drive him home. And then the next morning he phones in and he says, yeah, fuck it, I quit. That's not allowed.
To be fired.
Well, whatever. You know, it's not just like, yeah, I'm out of here. I don't want to deal with it. Yeah, make your decision. Bye. No way. No way. I just don't understand how that works in the States. Yeah, we fired him. Oh, like that's it? That's his penalty?
Hey, let's be honest. That's a big deal because usually he just gets a paid vacation. And then shooting is justified. No worries. Come on back, brother. Yeah. I mean, getting fired is a big deal. Like at least they did something. And then sometimes after that happens, they'll get picked up or at another department somewhere else.
Yeah, so he got kicked out of the chapter is all that happened.
And then, yeah, they'll transfer him. So they'll do all kinds of weird stuff like that. And then, like, nothing happens to these people, man. That's what I'm telling you. They're terrible. They're murderers. Yeah. And they're so smug. You see when I film them, man, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They go and tell people all the time how much they hate me. You know why? Because I tell them to their face how much I hate them, but they don't want that shit on camera.
Yeah.
But they'll tell other activists, they'll tell cats that live, you know, homeless cats or whatever, how terrible I am and don't talk to that guy. He's bad news and blah, blah, blah. Why? Because I put a camera on them? Fuck them.
Yeah, I'd always trust the word of a fucking cop. Yeah, for sure.
And the people come right back and tell me what's going on. These police do this, these police do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, whatever. That's
fuck about them.
That's their game. That's the kind of shit that they're taught how to do. Not how to handle yourself in a lethal force situation. They're taught how to be tough and play propaganda.
Yeah, whatever. I got zero respect for any of them. I'm sure that's shocking for you to hear, Glenn. Coming from me.
Well, I'll just have to deal.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's got to be stopped somehow. And like I said, maybe it's time to fight back. As I said in a poorly read intro. You know, I shouldn't even write these intros. I can't read my own stuff, man. It's like I'm in a dark room with a little phone trying to hold it back from the microphone so I can see it. You know? Maybe I should just type the subjects out or the topics out and then we can just explain it. That seems easier. See, we're working out the show live on the air. I like that.
Are we live?
We'll try some things, you know.
I'd like to know when this is something like this is going to happen. And there's somebody that the cop couldn't see through the door that can see the cop through a window. And maybe they've got a 9. Maybe they got a Glock. Maybe they're allowed to. And they hear a shot and it comes from the porch and they pull and return fire. So now what do you do?
Then justice is served.
But what's going to happen? What's going to happen in the courts?
How they're going to be a cop killer. It's going to be tragic. They're going to get the worst possible sentence.
Exactly. And what if it's a stand your ground state? And if it was anybody other than a cop, the guy would walk. Then what do they do?
They still punish him because it's a cop.
Well, then that's going to piss off a whole new crowd.
although I talked about it before, a long time ago. There was a guy. Oh, I can't remember all the details. It was a white dude, and the cops. One of them was a chief of police of this small town. I don't remember where it was. I could try to find it, but I can't do it right now. I can barely see my phone screen. Anyway, and damn it. Anyway, the police came up in his house and raided the wrong house, and he shot the chief of police and another cop. And they gave him his gun back that night. He didn't even go to jail.
That's the way it should be.
And I think it was stand your ground kind of laws. But he was white, too, like I said.
Okay,
and they were raiding the wrong house.
This has got to happen more.
Oh, that's what I say all the time. We need to attack them when we see them doing stuff wrong.
That's the only thing that's going to slow them down. We
outnumber them. Some of those people got guns in their houses or somewhere nearby, maybe on them. Who knows? The cops are outnumbered and outgunned. Why do we let them brutalize? Why do we let them do anything? They should have to have permission. Like, someone should have to be doing something before they start snatching on people and stuff, you know?
No, I think that's what has to happen, because the only thing that scares a killer is getting killed.
Yeah, I think that doesn't even scare some killers.
Well, psychological killers, yeah, maybe, but I mean these goofball manufactured killers.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Because I'll tell you what, if, say, like, just hypothetically, let's take a city like Philadelphia. Let's say there is 50 armed entrance events in a weekend. Regularly, no cops get killed. I bet you innocent people do every weekend. What if the next weekend there's a cop killed? And then 3 weeks later, there's 2 cops killed. And then maybe 6 weeks later, there's 2 more cops killed. They won't be running in the same way anymore, because there's consequences now. That's the problem. It's engineered that there are no consequences for police. And if government will not reinstall some consequences, then only the people can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I just had, it has to become the norm. Like, these cops are going to get checked if they do things wrong with more than just cameras in their face. You're going to have everyone coming up against you. You need to act right. You need to treat people with respect. You need to not mess with people for no reason, man.
Yep. But I mean,
Fuck the police. I hate them motherfuckers.
Again, somehow it comes back to the same thing. People need to change the way they view and react to things they're not directly involved in.
Yeah.
There's just way too much spectating going on in the world.
I don't know, man. I just know we gotta do something. This is just ridiculous. How you kill 2 people in there? One person just go to jail for the minimum possible sentence. 60 months, I think she's gonna do the most. And then another person gets killed in their house through the window by a pig the next little city over. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Fucking, it's insane.
But it's, like I said, there's a lot of shit going on in that region, and there has been for a while. I think it was not this summer, but the one before, Plano, Texas, which is a white suburb of Dallas. They were having some pool party, and it was getting a little too loud for some of the tight-ass neighbors. And the cops came, and that one cop, head stomped a 13-year-old girl in her yard.
Oh, you're talking about barrel roll cop, that crazy dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he barrel rolled and he attacked a little girl.
Yeah, I mean, that was in the Dallas area as well. I mean, there's just a lot of shit going on there. You know? And that's the other thing media is so good at. Remember when there used to be something that would happen, and at the end of the story they'd say, well, you know, this is not the first time. And then they'd give you a real quick rundown of the last 3 or 4 years. They don't do that where it concerns police.
Take too long.
Well, it's not that. It's just that we're not reminding you of all the fuck-ups.
I would remind you of the last few, but it'll just take all day.
No, but if it's a story about a gang, they've got time. They'll tell you the last 3 or 4 years, how many of them have been shot, how many of them gone to jail. But if the cop kills somebody for no reason, they don't tell you how many the cops have killed for no reason. Not even in the last fucking week, never mind a few years.
Yeah, they try not to talk about it as much as possible. You're right.
Well, yeah, because every time it happens, it's supposed to be a rare occurrence. But it ain't.
You know, we got anything else on this?
Nope.
Yeah, there's till you motherfuckers wake up and start to fight back, then they're gonna change. It's gonna be the same stuff. You know, like I'm gonna start putting the show on this Anchor thing too, man. So if you're a person who listens to Anchor, we'll be on there, and I think that's gonna distribute it to all these other places or something. So hopefully this show, if not the next one, that'll be starting. So big news. 3 more people might start listening, Glenn. It's a possibility.
Fabulous. But, you know, the Pope still listens, so whatever.
Yeah, that's all that matters. We have a direct line to God. That's what we've always. That's why I started this show. I said, what can I do to get a direct line to God? And then here we are. Anyway, so yeah, anything else, Glenn? Beside the fact that people need to tune into The View Up Here Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, on theviewuphere.ca.
Well, I mean, this is my favorite all-time guest, Stephen Lawtons. I mean, I'm in season 12, 6th year, and I think this is his 8th appearance on the show. And it's always a lot of fun. He's a good satirist. He knows what's what. He's a lawyer. He's a former journalist. He was the head of the Ontario Law Society at one point in time. He's a distinguished, I just forgot the word I was going to use. Wow.
Canadian.
He's a distinguished litigator, as well as being a funny guy and, you know, a guy who has a sense of humor. He has a very Canadian viewpoint. I guess I would describe him as, no, I can't. I was going to make a metaphor and I blew it. Forget it. But yeah, it's going to be a good show. Oh, well.
We try hard here.
The View Up Here. Listen to it while you can.
Yeah, listen to them all. Catch them while you can, like the Pokemon. All right, Glenn, I think that's it for today. We'll be back soon. We don't know when, and neither do the people listening, so that's the awesome part. And I was looking at the chat. So yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be back soon.